Hello, my name is Margaret Adele, and if this looks a little weird, it's because I have to film myself without being able to see myself because for whatever reason, my phone camera decided that if I'm filming in selfie mode, the speakers aren't working properly. I don't know why, but regardless, we are back with the October roll for TBR. I am going to try to get back at it again after totally losing in August and then taking the month of September off. And I don't think it helped entirely, mostly because I had a bunch of other stuff going on in September. It was the first full month back to school, and I had several weekend trips and stuff going on, and some personal stuff. So it did not happen. And I also forget every time when I tell myself, hey, I'm going to do a bunch of review books, I forget how much mental labor that is, because there were several times where I'd be like, awesome, I got another book done. And then I'd be like, oh, I have to write like 5 paragraphs on this thing now. and I love writing reviews. I do. But having to do it like every 3 days over and over and over again, it's not fantastic. And I did consider taking the month of October off as well. However, I really want to get both to 10 books and then wait a month of 10 books to consider it challenge met. And I really can only fail one more month before I'm out of time to do that. So we're going to jump back in. Here's hoping that it gives me a little bit more structure and I can actually make it work. We are going to be rolling for 9 books this time around. And I'm hoping I get some good picks that allows for both review books and my Pop Sugar Challenge. And it finally occurred to me, don't know why it took this long, that I could just include a Pop Sugar prompt on my prompt list. I don't know why that hasn't occurred to me before, but I was like, oh yeah, I can just pick a Pop Sugar book on the list. So we're doing that now too. We've got a new prompt. Hopefully it comes up at least once, but let's skip right to the rolls. So it is the next day. I have tried and looked at things to figure out why my phone's audio is doing what it does, and I have no idea why. I know it's not a hardware issue because when I record selfie mode in TikTok, it's fine. Something about the camera app in selfie mode is just doing whatever, but I'm not going to film this entire thing and not being able to see myself. So if you were headphones, it should be fine, but I am sorry that it's a little bit wonky. Regardless, we are going to jump in with the actual rolls.
Miss Varelli, if I may borrow one. Yes, thank you. All right, roll the first. Okay.
6 is for the prompt turned into a movie. And thankfully, there is also a prompt on the Pop Sugar Challenge that has like a book being turned into a movie in 2023. So I just went with the book I'd already picked for that thankfully I already had out from the library, and that is The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary. Technically, this was made into a movie prior to 2023. However, it was like over in Britain and it's coming over to the US, and with the strikes, it's probably one of the few movies that could still come this fall. And this is all about a young woman who is down on her luck and moves in to a flat, but is quite literally sharing it in that there's only one bed. But her new flatmate works overnights as a pediatric nurse or some kind of hospice nurse, I think. So he's there during the day, sleeping and doing his daily life stuff. And then she's at work and then comes in at night. So essentially, they're sharing the same space without ever actually meeting each other. But then they begin to leave each other notes. Simple roommate things, right? But then things begin to change. I am really excited for this concept. I've already started reading it, but I knew I wasn't going to finish it in September, so we are including it on the October TBR. It sounds really cute. I believe it's either a movie or a TV series. I don't remember which. I believe they made it sapphic. I think they changed Leon into a female character. So I am interested in watching that eventually, but I want to read this first. It's definitely very British. It is very British. And I'm interested, I think Leon might be some kind of neurodivergent coded because the way his point of view is written is really cool. But I am already enjoying this one, and I'm hoping I can get it finished fairly soon because, again, it's from the library, so I got to get it back eventually. A lot of the books on here are actually going to be from the library. Look at me using my local services.
And roll the second. Okay.
The dice love those low numbers. A number 3 is connected to the prompt finish a series or an audiobook. And I had to put those prompts together because I don't have enough book picks for those to be separate prompts. And thankfully, I actually already had my eye on an audiobook. So for this one, I am going to be listening to The Druid's Call by E.K. Johnson. This is a prequel book to the D&D movie Honor Amongst Thieves, and I loved that movie. I played D&D and other TTRPGs, so I was really interested in this one. I can turn it into TikTok content too, because that's what I talk about over there. And it's all about the druid character Doric and her essentially how she found out she was a druid and trained so that you see her skill set by the time the movie starts. As far as I am aware, it's not going to deal that much with the actual plot of the movie, although you are seeing the beginnings of the deforestation that is a much bigger plot point for her and the people that raised her in the movie. She is a tiefling, which, if you know, in Dungeons and Dragons is like the one of the most oppressed races. It's the reason that a lot of queer people like playing tieflings, because in the lore of the game, they are looked upon with fear, although they're not evil, like that kind of thing. I have started the audiobook while I was doing dishes today because I am filming this part on October 1st, and I'm already enjoying it. I have a lot of stuff to do with my hands in the month of October. I looked at my leggings as we switched to colder weather, and I realized that like so many pairs of my leggings have holes in them, so I got to mend those. And I got major crochet projects that I'm in the middle of, so I think we're going to focus on crafty things while I listen to this. But it does listen pretty quickly, like just doing the dishes got me through like 60 pages, although to be fair, I had a lot of dishes. But regardless, I am enjoying this one. I am slowly inching my way to becoming more of an audiobook girly. I don't think it's ever going to be my preferred form of reading, but the farther I fall into crafting things and crocheting and that kind of stuff, I think I'm going to be relying on this a little bit more. And with me discovering all of the audiobooks you can find for free on Libby, like, it's so nice. So I'm not going to be a hardcore audiobook girly, I don't think, but I like them a lot more than I have previously.
All right, come on, dice. Roll the third. Okay.
15 is for the prompt review book, and for this one I picked one of the oldest review books on my list, Centurnia Return to the Castle by Rose Catherine Kahn. This is a fun twist on the standard Portal fantasy, because in a usual Portal fantasy you have the young protagonist who's heard these fantastical stories their whole lives and then discovers that this alternate world exists and they can go there. But in this one it's reversed. We are following the princess of a mystical portal land who has heard about this strange place called Earth that has malls from her mother, who was from that place, who must now go back to Earth, where her mother is from, to find her cousin, one of her mother's family, to help do the thing and undo the big magic spell her father did that's causing problems. I don't know much more than that, but I love when fantasy books take a very standard trope and twist it. It's one of my favorite things, so I have high hopes for that. I really, really hope she's like a reality weeaboo where she's like super obsessed with all things Earth and has like really weird misconceptions about it. Like, I'm really hoping for that level of comedy to it. And it's also a YA, so it's going to read pretty quickly. And in general, I am surprised I left this one on my review list for as long as I did.
And the fourth one? Oh, no.
Nat 1. Technically, I did read enough review books last month to get a reroll, but I actually do have a high fantasy on my review list, so I'm like, we'll take it. The dice gods are giving me a challenge again, and we will go with The Shrouded Throne by Stephen D. Jackson. This is a high fantasy all about political machinations of this kingdom where people are trying to say that the young mages are all evil and should be outlawed, and the mages basically are teaming up with one of the senators, or at least one of like the politicians who's trying to help them, who's almost been assassinated. The book begins with a prevented assassination, and the mages have to essentially fight for their rights. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the author of this book is gay. I don't think that's a big big surprise. And there are supposed to be queer themes throughout the book. And you know me, if you've been around my channel, the one thing that makes me more likely to read a high fantasy is if it's gay. High fantasy for me is such a struggle because of world building and the complexities and how much it's always so focused on political noble machinations. But if you make it a little bit gay, then I like it a whole lot more. Now, I know that it's not overt. I believe the author said that it's not like crucial to the themes or the major plots, but I don't care. As long as there is gayness in the book, I like it more. So I'm hoping this one will read fairly quickly. It is what, under 400 pages? So it's not like a chunky high fantasy, and I believe it is still YA. So fingers crossed this one doesn't throw me off. I really need a win this month.
Okay, Riley, we're trading. All right, you can take that one back. Let's try this one. Roll number, what are we at? 5? Okay, there we go.
The next one, 18, is Shifter Romance. And I am actually already in the middle of one that I began reading in September and did not finish. So I'm going to continue reading The Dragon Prince's Bride by Elva Birch. This is the third book in the Royal Dragons of Alaska series. I really, really enjoyed books 1 and 2 because of the take on the true mate trope. In this alternate universe, Alaska is its own sovereign nation, and it is led by a royal family of secret dragon shifters who are all connected to this magical contract that essentially helps them find their true mates based on who would be a good leader, essentially. In this case, finding your true mate is what puts you in line for the inheritance, and usually it's supposed to be only one person, but for some reason, 3 books in, 3 different people have found their true mate, and they're like, what is this compact doing? What's this magic going everywhere doing? And I like this one because it involves a woman who was brought to the palace, castle, whatever, to be the arranged marriage of the eldest son, thinking that they could maybe like trick the magic or force the magic to work to put the eldest that they wanted to be on the throne in line for the inheritance, because he's still not. But JK, turns out she's the true mate of one of the other brothers. And I love that drama. I love true mates in general, and this take on it where the compact basically skips ahead in time and shows the people what they're going to feel like towards each other later on, just at the beginning when they first meet, and it eventually fades and lets like the actual emotions come through. I like that concept of still using magic for true mates, but also building the mechanics in to where it's obvious that like they still love each other regardless. The compact just kind of like borrowed from the future and showed them what they were going to feel once the relationship was formed. I like that concept. And this one so far, because again, I'm already like halfway through it, has done a lot to really plumb the depths of the big antagonist, because there's one antagonistic group for the entire series, and 2, does a lot with the more mechanics of the magic. Can you force it? Can you wait out the first couple weeks when the compact is trying to affect your emotions? Like, I feel like we're going to get a lot more with that, and I'm excited for it. I just, for some reason, my brain didn't want to keep reading it, so I'm hoping that having it on an official TBR will encourage me to do it. And I'm also enjoying the fact that this TBR is going to help me wrap up my currently reading in 2 books. So ironically, with how many low numbers I've had, I'm actually feeling pretty confident about this one.
6. Ooh.
13 is for the prompt science fiction. And this one, I went with another review book, Memoir of a Mad Scientist by Erin Anderson. This is what it says on the tin. It is a mad scientist who's been creating a bunch of things for this, I believe it is a government entity or a evil corporation. You know the sci-fi stuff. And he realizes the extent of the evilness he has been participating in and must now decide if he is willing to risk turning his back on his employers and putting his own life on the line and, you know, grappling with all of the guilt and moral implications of being involved in this, even if he did not wholly understand the extent of the evilness of his employers. I love that. Love me a good science fiction. Love that I got another review book on here. Always a fan of that. And I am hoping he is an eccentric mad scientist. I am really hoping for that. But in general, it's been a while since I've had some good science fiction, so I'm excited to get that one in.
And roll number 7. Okay.
The next one is a 4, and I honestly don't know if I've ever rolled this one before, but that is for the prompt heavy topics. And heavy topics is essentially trigger warning esque type topics, really dark stuff. And it was meant to be either fiction or nonfiction. And I had another pick for my pop sugar list that had dark topics. So I was like, oh, we'll go with that one. So we are going to be reading Room by Emma Donoghue. This is for the prompt only words on the cover in pop sugar. I had to look up a list of that one because I could not think of any book that just had a word on the cover. But this is all about a woman and her son that are being kept prisoner from a mysterious evil man, and you get the gist that the evil man is actually the boy's father, though not consensually, and it is all about what the mother is willing to do to keep her son like happy, even though they are literally stuck in a room. Like, this child's whole world is this room, and what she is willing to do to escape and get him to safety. So I am expecting a lot of dark stuff. Now, I believe it is mostly told through the lens of the 5-year-old boy, hence why the cover has this childlike crayon room on it. But I'm also pretty sure that some stuff is still going to come through regardless. We might get some POVs from the mom, or it just might get scary even for a 5-year-old. So this is definitely going to fit that heavy topics thing. And I do think this is almost like a book club type book, which isn't what I usually read. But it was interesting enough, especially told from the POV of a young child, that I thought, why not? Let's try it.
Number 8. Okay.
So the footage for this part disappeared into the ether for some reason. So here we are a day later. The next prompt is middle grade, which at one point I promised myself that whenever I got middle grade in the game, I would read the next book in the Percy Jackson series until it was done. And I still have the last book in the original series. However, it doesn't really work for any of the prompts of Pop Sugar that I have left. So I went through and I found a different prompt that I could make work with the middle grade. So for both middle grade and the book you wish you could read for the first time again prompt, we are rereading one of my old favorites, The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. This is my childhood favorite. I still remember the moment I saw this on the table at the Reading is Fundamental Day in 4th grade. I was particularly caught by this picture right here, and it was rare at the time for me to be able to own any books because I came from a fairly poor family and my parents couldn't just afford to get specific kids a single book just because they wanted it. It was either for the entire family or you got it from the library. So this was always really, really important to me. And there is a part of me that wishes I could read it for the first time again, even though that first time was so pivotal. I still remember being a little kid and like wondering what that creepy crying is down the dark hallway. Like, I really wanted to know. But if you don't know, this is considered a children's classic, and it is all about a young girl named Mary who was born and raised in the British colony of India. Her parents die of illness, so she is shipped off to a distant relative she has never met on this rainy, windy, Misselthwaite manor. And she's not a great person at the beginning of the book. She's very spoiled and neglected, and looking back as an adult that works with BD kids, probably was suffering some pretty severe trauma from all that childhood neglect. But she learns and grows as she finds her way around this new manor and uncovers secrets and meets friends. Like, I think I could say Dickon was my first childhood crush. Like, my first fictional childhood crush was Dickon from this book. I also, fun fact, played in the musical version of this. So I'm really proud of myself for that. I am not actually going to be reading this specific physical copy because, as you can see, it's a little well loved. Actually, fun fact, you can see my 4th grade handwriting back when we had to learn cursive because it was inevitable that one day we would have to write all of our high school papers in cursive. That aged well. I am probably going to find either in audiobook or ebook copy of this because it is old enough that it is outside the realm of copyright. So I could find some Gutenberg project-esque site that could get me a free copy rather than like risk thumbing through the old copy again, because this thing is old enough to drink by my standards. It's been with me for 21 years, but I think it was already kind of old when it ended up on that book table, because I'm pretty sure when I've tried to look up this cover, like this one is probably from the 80s. So, pretty old book, very sentimental, but I think we're gonna leave it for sentimental purposes and not try to constantly read through it and risk it falling apart. So, I will have to find another version of this. But it's been a while, and I am happy to get this one reread.
And last one, what are we ending with? Okay.
And lastly, we have classics. This one threw me for a second, but then I remembered when I went to search celebrity book club lists, because one of the prompts for Pop Sugar is a book from a celebrity book club, I saw a classic that they were all talking about. I don't know if it exactly counts as a celebrity book club because it is a book club. I believe it's called Mocha Reads. Editing, Margaret? Mocha Girls Read. Thank you. And their pick for September was a classic. I don't know if it's led by a celebrity, but it was on all of these celebrity book club pick lists that I found. So I'm counting it because it was the only one that looked interesting. And they are reading Go Tell It on the Mountain by James Baldwin. This is a 1950s classic that I believe recently got a 2023 edition. And technically they read it for September, but I'm reading it for this month. And it is James Baldwin's first published work in 1953. And I believe it is meant to be semi-autobiographical. It is a coming-of-age story about a young Black boy growing up in Harlem. And I believe he is the son of a church minister, if I remember correctly. I have been meaning to get to more of the Black classic canon. You may remember the last time I got the classic prompt, I picked an Octavia Butler book. So I'm hoping to do more of these. I've heard a lot of the name James Baldwin, but I have never read any of his work. So we're going to solve that here. And it looks like, from what I've heard, Mocha Reads, they picked some pretty good books. So if I end up liking this one a lot, I might keep a closer eye out on that book club. I don't do a lot with book clubs. I don't like other people telling me what to read. I'll let the dice do it, but other people, no. Regardless, I do think this might get a little intense because it is the story of, a young Black boy in the presumably 30s and 40s. So there could be some deep themes of racism, but everything I've heard says it's good. So we're going to go with that. And that is it, my TBR for October. I am super excited because I'm not going to lie, when I first saw those low numbers, I was like, oh, Dice Gods, what are you doing to me? But then as I was going through things, I realized every book on this TBR is either a Pop Sugar book, a review book, or a book that I already owned. So we're sitting pretty well. I have definitely broken my maintain the TBR challenge for this, mostly because I have decided that if they are library books, it doesn't count because library books are only temporarily on my TBR. Like if I don't read them, I still send them back and take them off the TBR. So it's not as big of a deal if there are library books on there, but I am still sitting at over 50 currently. However, it is the time of year when I gotta get those Pop Sugar books in if I want to win. I was so happy to win for the first time last year, and it really did open me up to new books that I would not have read otherwise, and like new series, new authors. So I want to continue with that. I just have a little bit of pushing to do to get it all to work and still maintain my TBR. My TBR is not too bad. I think I'm at like 52 right now. And I'm already excited for a lot of these books, even if they are dark. But regardless, thank you so much for watching. Have you ever had to take a break from your TBR game because it just wasn't working? Have you ever had multiple months of a reading slump in a row? What did you do to help yourself out of it? Please let me know down in the comments below.
So I didn't realize until I was editing this video that both selfie camera and regular camera mic was fucked up. And as I was researching how to fix this, I discovered that my phone supports external microphones. So, this will be the only video you have to suffer through this horrible audio. In fact, from now on, the audio quality of my videos is actually going to get a whole lot better. So, thank you for suffering with me so far.
And with nothing else to say, I hope you have a wonderful day and a marvelous tomorrow.